Always looked too happy in recent weeks. Too happy, purring again. There's a couple of games in particular now. League Cup semi-final first leg match at Old Trafford. Had a wonderful first half against United. And last Sunday, 6 goals showing up for the park. Kelly. Turning back Cancelo, but he's far as Wolf Zaha. It's up against Sterling. Chiro Readabout. Cute ball there by Zaha, but it goes straight through to Edison.
Got a little bit lucky there. Yeah, Cancelo would be better off heading that towards the corner flag instead of dropping it down to Wolf Zaha's feet.
And he goes Sterling for the running. Has support there ahead of him. Bernardo Silva, Aguero. Very important block, but Aguero's there again. And just about hooked away by MacArthur. Gundogan, wayward.
Just feels as though it's inevitable before City get their first goal. It's not like Gundogan to blaze that over the bar. There were shouts for a handball in there. I couldn't quite see that in real time. If it did strike Gary Cahill's hand, it would have been accidental.
Weekend which began with that goalless draw. Good point there for Watford against Spurs as good form continues. No goals so far now, 6 matches on the goal rush. A massive game towards the bottom end of the table today. Norwich, Bournemouth in particular, bottom 2 there, going head to head. Newcastle Chelsea is our late game this evening.
A nervy game. Has to beat Norwich and Bournemouth for the run that both teams are on. It's a massive game.
Which not won at home games since they beat City all the way back in September. I'd say must win in January, but it certainly feels that way for Norwich today.
It has to be, Joe. I mean, they're sitting on 14 points against Bournemouth 20, Villa on 21. Run of games that they've been on with no wins in 9. Bournemouth only 1 win in 11, so both teams bang in trouble.
Fernandinho. For Aguero, Tompkins won it. Tompkins with the captain's armband in the absence of Luka Milivojevic from Crystal Palace.
Even though we're only 11 minutes in, you see how high Benjamin Mendy, João Cancelo are as the fullbacks of Man City, but even Fernandinho and John Stones, they were in Crystal Palace's half there. Palace need an outball.
Two there by Cancelo.
Got to find Wilf Zaha's feet.
McCarthy by Stones. Mendy. Gundogan. Mendy again.
Played in a lot of games, Joe, like these where you have been dominating. The most important player in your team, if you're a Crystal Palace player now, is the player that can travel with the ball, and that's Wilf Zaha. You've got to find his feet. He can take you 30 yards further up the pitch.
It's a cheeky giveaway there by Ayew. It's come to Aguero, who was then fouled by MacArthur. It's a good foul to commit. Well, producing yellow card in welcome Graham Scott.
It all stemmed from Crystal Palace not really having an outball, so they had to try and dribble away out of trouble. It was Ayew that gave the ball away. Put MacArthur in a spot on ball that he was then forced to make the tackle and puts himself on a yellow card.
Well, 2 test for Vicente Guaita from this. 30 yards out.
It's got to be De Bruyne. Closer, I'd fancy David Silva. From this distance, it's to be De Bruyne that's going to take this on.
He looks to be getting back towards his best again. Can he produce here from this set piece scenario? So near the wonderful try by De Bruyne. It's a fantastic free kick. And the woodwork there saves Crystal Palace.
Oh, it's an unbelievable free kick. It's exactly where he would have been aiming for the crossbar with a little bit of dip.
Here's Aguero now. Defended by MacArthur. Can this here really be pending? Given away there by Zaha. De Bruyne might try again. Lovely ball. Aguero. Good save by Guaita.
Sensational effort from the free kick from Kevin De Bruyne, and even that ball there, disguised pass at 10-15 yards, cue ball into Aguero's feet. Great goalkeeping. Crystal Palace on the ropes at the moment. That's a little weighted pass. Now he's thinking, can I dink the goalkeeper? As well, Guaita.
De Bruyne's corner, at swinging ball, attacked by John Stones. It's going to be a corner once again. Sterling goes short from De Bruyne for David Silva. Goal sure be imminent. Away by Kouyaté. Crystal Palace really hanging on.
Yeah, the trouble is for a Palace player now, you can't change your game plan once you're in the heat of the battle. You just got to dig in.
But the ease of a goal elsewhere at St Mary's, our first goal on the goal rush, and it's come for informed Southampton, and it's Jan Bednarek there with a tremendous finish. The Czech defender. Lovely goal there from him, Dom.
What a finish that is. Great ball in from James Ward-Prowse. This is the effort from De Bruyne, rattles the crossbar.
So City coming very close here, but it's Southampton to get the first goal of the day. Jan Bednarek, the surprise scorer. Zaha now for Palace up against Stones. Stones dived in, and Graham Scott waved away the appeal to a penalty.
Could have been a penalty that, you know, Joe. Like to see that one back again. Graham Scott had a big call, big decision to make. I think that's a penalty.
Well, the VAR is John Brooks, who will surely double check this.
That's a penalty, has to be. Don't blame the referee, Graham Scott, for not giving it. Surely VAR, once they see this tackle from John Stones, have to give a penalty.
Well, as you can see there, no foul is the verdict.
Wow. That's a huge call.
Surprising call as well. Controversial moment that. It's the way to Carrow Road for this massive game at the bottom. Norwich against Bournemouth, the first big chance going the way of the home team, and falling for Buendia there in with their header. Too far away when Norwich got that first chance against Bournemouth. Sterling now in the City. Gundogan. Back towards Sterling once again.
I'm still stunned, Joe, that VAR haven't given Crystal Palace a penalty. Such an easy call.
John Brooks, to mention the VAR. It was a relatively quick decision made by him. Certainly a major talking point. Mendy. Neatly worked again by City. By Kelly, corner. And a big reprieve, and so was he, particular John Stones. It's up now for the corner, which is played in by De Bruyne. Flicked out by Aye.
It's very very surprised that John Stones actually attempted to make the tackle on Zaha, the trickiest player in my opinion in the Premier League. You can get any defender 1v1, you can't touch him.
Many occasions where Wolves Zaha's been involved in controversy with penalties, but to be a clear foul there. Mendy. David Silva took it wonderfully well.
What a block
Mendy by Cahill.
What a block from Cahill. Positional sense in the first 20 minutes of this game has been exceptional.
It's the experience that they brought in. Day where Crystal Palace are fully aware they're going to be on the back foot for the majority of it. They'll be reliant upon set pieces or moments of Zaha magic to give them a chance to stem the tide, stem the flow. But the ill fortunes come their way. Put that behind them now. Here's MacArthur. Space for the first time for Ayew.
Well, it will give Crystal Palace hope. And as I said before, just keep finding Zaha. This has to be the out ball.
He's done well there against Cancelo. Intervention was by Stones. Bernardo Silva. Interesting first 20 minutes. Kevin De Bruyne getting close with the free kick. It's a controversial moment involving Zaha and Stones.
Yeah, it's demoralising though for a Crystal Palace player when you have been pinned in early on and you're digging in. And it's looking like Man City are going to be 2 or 3 up inside the first 20 minutes, and you get what, in my opinion, was a nailed-on penalty, and it goes against you.
What we've had so far, Jan Bednarek. Southampton lead Wolves 1-0. Sterling's ball in here. They're overstretching. Bernardo Silva. Been overseeing Palace's best campaign for some 4 years. To say that given the minimal resources he's had over his time with the club, he's done a wonderful job.
He's done a remarkable job, hasn't he? Hardly any money to spend. He's got Crystal Palace playing good football. Great on the road. Don't carry any passengers.
Sure, some players right now they've had an injury list to rival several other clubs in the league who've had a pretty tough time in that regard over the festive period. A young bench again today, a few teenagers on it. Ismail Gaeta has been picked out by many Palace fans as their player of the year so far. Under the radar somewhat, but he's made some stellar saves. Here's David Silva. Great patience and balance there for the Spaniard.
He's picking himself up some very good positions, David Silva, just ghosting into the box. He's got to be tracked.
City's best moment so far, coming down that left-hand side. Possession stats very high. Still goalless, midway through the first half. Toaston finding Zaha. It's a worrying time for Palace fans when the transfer window opens and the name of Wilf Zaha enters the gossip columns again. So they'll be staying put for this window at least, and then the summer will come around once again, and who knows what will happen then. But they're desperate to hang on to.
He's got amazing ability. He's quick, he can go either side. He's very tricky when the ball's at his feet. He keeps it moving. He's always a threat, even for the best defenders. Just starting to grow into the game now, Crystal Palace.
See more of Zaha there. Joy there against Cancelo. Mendy. Fernandinho for Gundogan. Bernardo Silva for De Bruyne. João Cancelo. De Bruyne. Gundogan.
It's away. You can see what he was going for there, Gundogan. Just going for the little one to off Aguero. Didn't quite come off.
Possible ball there for Sterling. Nice pass by David Silva and Mendy. What he was intending.
Best player on the pitch at the moment, David Silva.
Upton Park, they go for the first time. West Ham up against Everton today, looking to make it back-to-back home wins, and Sebastian Haller there with a very good chance, denied by Jordan Pickford.
It really looked like he was going to score. If you are lacking confidence, you could have just checked back and put on a plate for Mark Noble.
Jordan Ayew penalised there. Let's correct myself and say London Stadium for Upton Park there for West Ham. Went back about 5 years. Stuck in a time warp. Bernardo Silva. Dipped in by Cancelo. Back by MacArthur for Crystal Palace.
Too honest, Joe, you'd got away with that. I was concentrating on West Ham having a 3v2 and they should have done better.
A few West Ham fans who would rather be at Upton Park, but that's a different story. John Stones. Sterling. It's Gundogan.
I said before, Joe, about David Silva, he's just picking up that little position where he's in between full-back and centre-half. He's a nightmare to mark. He's standing in behind Cheikh Kouyaté as well. Can't be picked up.
Be interesting when Laporte's back fit again, just to see where Fernandinho moves in the City team. He's a regular when fit, so will it be Fernandinho plus Laporte, or will it be Stones and Laporte, which was the first choice when they were both fit last season?
Good question. And I think in the very biggest games, and especially in the Champions League, he's got the option, Pep, of going with Fernandinho and Rodri in midfield.
And then no Gundogan. It's a luxury for Pep to try and contend with. Meantime, Norwich Bournemouth, another chance here for Norwich City. Desperately short of wins and points and goals too, as Teti firing off target. Playing pretty well, Norwich, but not had the points to match that. With 3 wins all season.
It's going to be a difficult window, I think, for Daniel Farke and Norwich to try and keep hold of some of the Norwich players. I think Max Aarons is being scouted from big clubs across Europe. I think Tottenham are monitoring his situation. He's a very good player. Pukki, Cantwell, Buendia.
Bernardo Silva. Sterling's coming. Early on for Vicente Guaita from Graham Scott. win there by Stones. Break the way of Tosun. Short of game time with Everton, hence his loan move to Crystal Palace. He wants game time before the European Championships, where he'll hope to feature for Turkey.
And some good touches though, he's looked quite sharp.
To the Amex we go. Big game is at the bottom as well between Brighton and Aston Villa, and Aaron Connolly here with a chance for the Seagulls. Pepe Reina in goal there for Villa on his debut for the club. Connolly just off target.
Just took a little nudge in the back. I don't think it was a penalty, but just done enough to put him off balance.
Very interesting. Brighton actually are 2 points worse off right now than they were last year under Chris Hughton. Given the perception around them this season, you would find that quite surprising.
Yeah, they're a better team to watch, but the most important thing is staying in the league.
At the moment, they're only 3 points above the bottom 3. Ray Lewington, who is the trusted lieutenant for Roy Hodgson, he's been for many, many years. England and several club sides too. Tosun.
Just once or twice, Joe, when Will Sahal's got the ball, he's been up against now Cancelo 1v1. He's just elected to come back in field and just keep hold of the ball. I understand that. He's not going to get too many chances to run at the fullback. Try and take him on.
Misplaced pass there by Gundogan. It's the remarkable honour of having won league titles. With Borussia Dortmund with Klopp. It was Pep's first signing when he arrived here at Manchester City. That underlines just how good Pep thinks he is. What's on the menu for Aymeric Laporte? Been out since August. His return not too far away. Davidson. Come off the arm there of Jordan Ayew, but not penalised. Played on by McCarthy to Tosun. Stones rattling away well. Zaha. Hold up play.
Back towards goalkeeper Edison. Manchester City just slowly but surely coming out of their own half again. Now Sterling going back to Mendy, and the home side still inside their own half.
Still goalless at the Etihad Stadium between Manchester City and Crystal Palace, but whereas in the opening 20-30 minutes or so it felt like when Manchester City will break the deadlock, now it's more a case of if. They've just gone off the boil slightly, still dominating the ball, but lacking a bit of quality and certainly ideas in the final third. Bar going out wide and trying to get the ball into the box. They're struggling to break down Crystal Palace, and when those crosses do come in, as you would expect, James Tompkins and Gary Cahill are dealing with the fast majority of them pretty comfortably. Nothing really for Palace fans to get excited about in the final third. I think they'll be happy with the two teams so far. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 0.
Still goalless then, just under 10 minutes to go until we hit injury time in this first half, but here comes City. Again now Aguero trying to feed that ball through towards Bernardo Silva and Gundogan, but it didn't quite get through. It's cleared away back towards the halfway line. John Stones is back there. For Manchester City, he plays it back to Edison. Home side once again, just happy to keep possession, trying to push forward. Now there's a bit of space here for Benjamin Mendy down the left-hand side. Floats a ball into the penalty area, taken down by Aguero, but just as he was taking it down, that was when Gary Cahill got in the way. Second ball reaches Gundogan, now Aguero, nobody marking him initially. Then there's a slide challenge there from James MacArthur. He wants to get a corner, he wants it as to be given as a goal kick. He claims that he slid that ball into Aguero, so it shouldn't be a corner. I think the referees have agreed with him. It won't be at the double kiss there off the foot of Aguero.
Yeah, maybe he flicked off his hand slightly there, but it looks like they've got the decision. Just a couple of other goals to tell you about elsewhere in the Premier League. Southampton now 2-0 up at home against Wolves. Shane Long on the score sheet, and Norwich lead Bournemouth in the battle between the bottom two. It looks like Steve Cook was sent off for handball. Penalty awarded, and Timu Puki scored that result in spot kick. That's certainly, Cook's been sent off. Puki scored a penalty a couple of minutes later. So I'll let you draw your own conclusions, but one thing for certain, Norwich are leading.
And Bournemouth are still in as much trouble as they were, if not more trouble than before this match even started. They really have some very quick decisions to make over the next less than 2 weeks in terms of, is there going to be more activity in the transfer window, or are they going to change manager? It's, as I say, they've got to be careful, because we've seen much bigger and better clubs than Bournemouth go down to the Championship and not come back straight away.
Yeah, it's tough. If this game, if they were to lose this on the back of losing at home to Watford last week, then yeah, that would really be asking questions about where Bournemouth go next. Most answers, if you came up with that, would be the Championships. So they might need to change.
He's technically a very good forward. Didn't get too many goals at Everton. Struggled for form. And Palace, it's good to say, got some previous signing players out of form. The referee is going to give a free kick against the Turkish forward. He's unlucky there, really, because Edison has flown out of his goal for literally no reason at all. Tosun has then bundled into Fernandinho, which probably is enough to say that it's a foul. But Tom, what on earth is Edison doing here?
He's come running 20-30 yards out of his goal. It's a ball he shouldn't be trying to get. There's two City defenders up again.
Zaha has it. MacArthur and teammates to play it to. On and on he goes. Wilfried Zaha. And now Stones. De Bruyne. De Bruyne. Walker. De Bruyne now. Gundogan. Oh, nice ball. And scope for the cross. Mendy. And he's clear as lines. It's with Gundogan. De Bruyne. Bernardo Silva. As clean as a whistle, that challenge. And a throw-in it's going to be.
Substitution for
And Manchester City will go to their bench.
Number 22, Benjamin Mendy. To be replaced by number 27, Awari Cancelo. Substitution for Crystal Palace.
Cahill.
Coming off the pitch. Number 34, Martin Kelly. To be
That's a lovely
replaced
ball.
by Number 2, Joe
And
Willock.
Zaha has it. Oh, a fine block. Luka Milivojevic. The ball with Jordan Ayew. Kouyaté now. Well, sometimes you can't argue with top-notch defending. It's with Gundogan. And that's an important intervention. De Bruyne. Terrific block there. Out of play for a Manchester City throw-in. It's with Gundogan. And now Kevin De Bruyne.
Well, the City fans are certainly having a big say in this game so far. Listen to how loud the crowd are, urging their team forward.
Foden. And it might be a significant contribution by the goalkeeper to keep his team in it.
Yeah, he kept on his toes as well as a really good stop.
And over comes the corner. A corner like that, every goalkeeper's dream, really. And it's a case of just 5 minutes left. James MacArthur. Townsend. MacArthur. Good vision. Can he get onto this? Now he must favour the cross. Tremendous interception it was by Gundogan.
Can you please give a round of applause for today's
It's with Joao Cancelo.
number 17, Kevin De Bruyne.
The referee has decided that 2 additional minutes are in order. And now Kevin De Bruyne. When you can keep the ball like this, it's got to be really annoying for the opposition. De Bruyne. And now it is truly final. The match is over. Raining in Manchester, that is true today as we welcome you to the Etihad Stadium for this match. I'm Derek Ray, joined here in the commentary position as always by Lee Dixon. And looking forward to bringing you action from the Premier League coming right up. It is Manchester City up against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. I'm really looking forward to this. Both teams certainly capable of producing some entertaining football. Hopefully we'll get that.
With David Silva. Being pressed hard. And here's the Manchester City lineup. Kevin De Bruyne plays with Rodri in central midfield. And leading the line is Sergio Aguero. Well, this is the team Crystal Palace have picked. An element of caution about this selection.
Yeah, 4-5-1, Derek. The 5 players behind the lone striker will need to support him. Looks a very strong midfield offensively and also defensively. The back four will be protected throughout the game.
to make sure nothing untoward happened. And now Kevin De Bruyne. Given away by City. For a throw-in. It needs an accurate cross. A really committed challenge, and it's gone out for a throw-in. De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne has moved away from the flank. Guard action. Well, I'll tell you what, one image inextricably linked with City's 2019 title triumph. Vincent Kompany. Tremendous ball played through. Zaha. Well, that's gone out. It is going to be a goal kick. Walker. De Bruyne. Rodri. Walker now. The ball with Rodri. On high marks for that pass. Sterling has it. Rodri. Making excellent progress with the ball. All at his feet. Not too fussy in clearing his lines. And scope for the cross. Sterling has it. De Bruyne. David Silva. They're certainly allowing their opponents to come onto them. Rodri. Now Silva. And they did have the ball, but not anymore. David Silva. Well, they're on the scent of something positive. Aguero. Silva. It might be the moment to get them ahead. The first goal of the match, and the lead certainly doesn't flatter them.
It's taken a while, but the pressure's taken its toll.
Well, here's the replay. Defenders don't like it when he goes to wide areas because they know what's going to happen. The ball's going to come into the box, and on that occasion, it comes in, and now they're picking it out the back of the net. Playing once again.
Manchester City with the advantage.
Number 21, David Silva.
And that was a very fine read. It is advantage Manchester City here. Mendy.
It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun, close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun, close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much. Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero has been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb Free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero's been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero's been denied by Vicente Gaeta as well. Apart from that, they haven't created too much, and it's Palace that lead. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. There could be a shock on the cards at the Etihad at half-time. It's Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun on his full debut for the Eagles, scoring after Gary Cahill nodded down James McCarthy's corner into the box. No one marking Tosun. Close range finish from him. City have dominated before and after that. Kevin De Bruyne, a superb free kick from him, rattled off the underside of the crossbar. Sergio Aguero. Right, we'll just draw that one to a quick conclusion because Crystal Palace have just got the second half underway. We're bringing you independent off-tube studio commentary of the Premier League clash between Manchester City and Crystal Palace at the Etihad. City dominating the ball, the territory, the chances, the set pieces in the first half, but the scoreline, if you missed it, is Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Cenk Tosun with his first Palace goal, close range header after Gary Cahill knocked down James McCarthy's corner into the box. That is Crystal Palace's only effort on goal so far. It's myself, Tom McGarry, and Paul Shabakowicz talking you through this afternoon's coverage. Oh, in a lot of ways, and based on the statistics, it's a very surprise league, but it almost felt like there was an air of inevitability. City, once they didn't get the early goal, and gradually you knew Palace were going to be a threat from set plays.
They were, and not only that, once Palace had taken the lead a few minutes later, they could have very easily doubled their lead when Edison went for a little wander out of his own goal. And had it not been for the slightest of fouls from Tosun on Fernandinho, we could have been talking about a 2-0 Palace lead. But now it's all to play for. City have to come out and show some kind of intent, because if they were to go on and lose this game, they're just, I mean, they're falling away from the title. Well, the title race is pretty much over anyway, but they need to do something to make sure they stay in that top four.
Yeah, because of course Leicester behind them will be able to overtake if they won against Burnley tomorrow, and the likes of Chelsea, Manchester United, the likes could all potentially close that gap. But they need to raise the intensity, the urgency. Manchester City, for Roy Hodgson and Crystal Palace, will be very satisfied. His side have executed his game plan perfectly so far. Still a long way to go, but certainly be the delighted of the two managers. Vicente Gaeta sends a long goal kick forward for Crystal Palace. We believe he was warned in the first half when the scoreline was still 0-0 about time wasting, so I imagine that might pop up one or two times again as the second half goes on. Palace in possession. To Gary Cahill via James McArthur and back towards Gaeta on the edge of his own penalty area. To put his foot through the ball out towards Zaha on the left hand side. That's a really accurate kick from Gaeta and lovely skill from Zaha to nutmeg Bernardo Silva. Feeding it down the line now is Gary Cahill. No real option, so he has to turn back, and he's pressed in field. It's a risky ball in towards James Tompkins, who under a bit of pressure takes no chances and just puts his foot through it.
He does, yeah. I mean, we may see a bit more of that from Palace now, really. But with the scoreline being what it is, may almost be like sort of a rugby tactic of just punting that ball as far, but getting it into touch and making City play out from the back. The longer that City are kept away from Palace's penalty area, the better.
Palace have seen quite a bit of the ball though in these opening 2.5 minutes of the second half. Riedewald has it, feeds it down to Zaha, who tries to flick it into the path of McArthur, and then there's a loose ball back towards Edison. That was from Cancelo, and Edison had to be quick with Cenk Tosun putting pressure on him to this time hurriedly clear the ball, very un-Manchester City-like, long up the field. City have got to the second ball as well, and they can work it down the left-hand channel with Benjamin Mendy, who certainly saw plenty of possession in the first half, high up the pitch, but a real end product. We're hoping for better in this second half. Gundogan thinks about going out towards that left-hand side, finds Sterling, who rolls it back to Fernandinho. This is kind of what we saw for the majority of the first period, with City camped inside Crystal Palace's half, and Palace very compact and deep. That's a ball forward from Fernandinho, picks out Mendy, drill cross into the box, chested down by McCarthy, and McArthur then just hooks the ball around the corner, and again Cenk Tosun doing well there, draws the foul from Fernandinho, which just gets Palace up the pitch once again.
It does, yeah, and it stops City. As you say, City have barely had any kind of attacking possession near Palace's goal at all in these first 4 minutes, and Palace will be hoping to keep that extended for as long as possible.
Certainly will. Well, at the moment, Gabriel Jesus is going through a warm-up for Manchester City. You wouldn't be surprised if he enters the fray sooner rather than later. Phil Foden out there stretching as well. And
Yeah, but you mentioned Jesus. And the interesting thing about him is that in the last sort of month or so, we found a few games where actually him and Aguero play together. Normally, it's just nailed on that one comes on for the other. But recently, Guardiola has tried to get them both in the team, and this may be one of those games where he needs both of them.
yeah, that'll be interesting to see if Jesus does come on, who he replaces. Like Bernardo Silva. Even Raheem Sterling's been quite quiet in this game so far. Jordan Ayew has the ball for Crystal Palace, looking to hold it deep inside Manchester City's territory. He's almost looking to get to the corner flag even at this stage. Does well actually, Ayew, to wiggle past a couple of challenges. He just then runs out of room, and Fernandinho uses his experience to usher the ball out of play. But yeah, as you're saying, Jesus and Aguero, particularly last week against Villa, were so effective up front as a pairing. I suppose it was a slight surprise that it wasn't the same formation this afternoon.
You think that maybe he's just overcomplicated the things a bit. Guardiola sort of changing the team just slightly for Crystal Palace, when really, if they'd just started in the same sort of vein as they did against Villa at the moment, are a little bit open. But even so, it does surprise me that he's changed a sort of such an effective winning team.
Fernandinho has the ball for Manchester City, pretty much an ever-present at the moment, mainly though as a centre-back that has been well documented. That's a better ball forward from Stones to find David Silva on the turn, edge of the box. Rolls it into Sterling, on touch with his right foot to open it out onto his right, and he curls it. But he curls it over the top.
He does, yeah. He had enough time there, Sterling. He'd probably be a bit disappointed. I thought he might go for a bit of a low shot, really, but he tries to go for the sort of curling effort into the top corner. He'll be disappointed because although there were defenders coming towards him, he still had enough time to set himself there.
Yeah, he should be finding the target, really, from their play of Raheem Sterling's quality. There was a bit of last-minute pressure on him, if you like, from the Crystal Palace defenders, but yeah, be a little bit disappointed. Raheem Sterling, a rare opening for a Manchester City player inside the Crystal Palace half in this match, and a warning sign for the Eagles as well. They've got a lot of work to do if they are to see this scoreline through. Benjamin Mendy has it for Manchester City, plays it infield to John Stones, whose slide rule ball to David Silva started that latest attack. Manchester City need more of that. Gundogan has it on the halfway line. He's capable of picking a pass, and that's a good one out to Mendy, high up the pitch. Can he deliver a decent ball? It's whipped in. It is a good ball. It lands at Aguero's feet. His shot is blocked. Will it be turned out by Bernardo Silva? No, that's really good goalkeeping from Gaeta.
Superb from Gaeta. He closed the angle immediately as soon as that ball was breaking towards Bernardo Silva. He barely had time to pull the trigger, and he was already being closed down by Gaeta, but City still on the attack.
They are, but it's looking a bit more promising for Manchester City. Those last two chances were a lot better than the majority they created.
Mm-hmm.